plus regions with Blue Wave Radio's Roatan Real Estate Roundup, sponsored by ReMax. Today's topic, well, actually in the studio, we have Michelle Breuer and Todd Haggerty, two of the top real estate agents at ReMax here on the island. Morning, guys.
Morning, Russ.
All right, today's topic is going to be a very good one that is constantly brought up all the time: for sale by owner. Now, if you've never worked with a real estate agent, there are a lot of benefits to working with a real estate agent. Everything that they do, but there are some people out there that think they can forego any sort of help, any sort of commission, anything like that, and really do it themselves. So, Michelle, let me start with you. You have a very unique story about a for sale by owner opportunity. So, please.
Sure, absolutely. And thanks for having us on, Russ. So I've sold real estate for quite a while. In Canada, I was a realtor for a long time. I was not a realtor when I moved to Roatan. And so when it came time for me to sell my house, I, like a lot of people think, figured I can save the commission. If I sell it by myself, I won't have to pay the 10% commission. And, I am a realtor and I am a marketer, or I was a realtor, so I should know how to do it. So as an experienced realtor, I put my house up for sale on the market. I didn't have a lot of showings, not as many as I got later, but I'll get to that part of the story. Sorry. But yeah, so I had a lot of showings and it took a long time. I had a lot of interest. I did a lot of marketing on Facebook with it. And it just came to a point that was like, I just couldn't do it anymore. I actually had somebody who was willing to buy, but they couldn't get the financing proper from Canada because of a tax situation. So there's also, tax implications in Canada as well too, that probably another show could be talked about. But anyways, I got to a point where I just couldn't do it anymore. So I listed it with a friend of mine at the time, and she put the price out. So I listed low, figuring, if I list low, I'll save the commission, but you don't, because you listed low. So she listed it for about $60,000 higher than I had it listed for. She listed it at market value. It was on the market for a very short time frame. We had multiple offers. Two realtors brought in multiple offers. We sold right at asking price. And I ended up with more money in my pocket than I would have had I sold it myself at the lower price I was going for. So she actually saved me money by having a realtor work for me. So that's kind of actually what kind of piqued my interest about getting back into real estate. Is like, well, it's just kind of fun showing it, but let's do it professionally now with a company.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I think that's funny, because especially with you having experience as a true marketer in many different mediums. And you said something I thought was interesting: Facebook. A lot of people think that, hey, just because I put it out on Facebook, I'm going to have all these options come. And truth be told, there's a lot more nuance to it than just setting up that account. So,
well, Russ, it's this is what we do every day as real estate agents. Is we have people that we're dealing with. Some people call you and say, look, I'm not ready for 2 years, but I wanted to talk to somebody now. So we have a whole host of people. So when somebody puts a home on the market, we have a lot of people that are interested. If you're doing it for sale by owner, you don't have that background. You don't have all those people waiting in the wings. So we do have advantages from that standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's interesting. Hey, Todd, let me come back to you for a second. You and I were talking the other day about some of the and Michelle did it on a very high level on profitability. In other words, she sold it at a better price there. But there's other reasons that really it's important to work with not only a good agent, but a good brokerage like ReMax. And one thing I thought you were telling me I thought was interesting is, unless the property is truly vetted, it doesn't get listed through you guys. That's an important feature.
It is an important feature. I mean, what we have here on the island is called RRA, Roatan Realtors Association. And so for us to be able to put a listing on the association, we have to have background checks. We got to make sure that all the paperwork is together, all the documents, title, surveys, things of this nature. We have a great back office in ReMax that we bring them these listings, and then they make sure have done all the research to make sure that everything is good to go. So when somebody comes to buy it, they can buy it. We don't have to wait and find out what somebody else owns the property or there's a problem with it. So that's real important. One thing that's important there is that we don't have title companies here on Roatan. And so a lot of people in North America are used to a title company that checks all of those things. We don't have title companies here. So the background check from our ReMax office is very, very important. And then, of course, we use attorneys here.
Show you want to add on to that, I think?
Yeah, I can add on lots of it. I mean, lots to it. I mean, just for, I'll give you an example of something that happened to a client now, that, you know, is now a client, is they came to the island years ago and they bought a lot of property and they bought for sale by owner, you know, thinking they would save money on stuff. And sure, they did. They got, you know, got really good deals and stuff. But here we are, I think about 4 years later now, when they went to sell one of their properties, the previous owner hadn't paid their taxes, like for their, on the SARS taxes. So they hadn't even been able to get their title yet because there was all this outstanding taxes and they weren't in a position to pay those taxes because it was a pretty heavy bill. So, you know, so fortunately we were friends. We spoke about it with our office again, with the, you know, the work of our office, the work of our accountants that we use. We were able to get them title and, you know, but they're still going to have to pay the taxes when they sell the property. And that wouldn't have happened because if it had been listed with, you know, with ReMax, for example, all of that stuff would have been paid for before it even was allowed to be listed. So they wouldn't have bought a surprise. So that's, you know,
yeah.
That's all. I mean,
well, I think that's, but that also dovetails, you know, one of the first conversations that we all had in one of the episodes was about financing, was having your ducks in a row prior to coming shopping here and actually going through that. This to me sounds like the exact same thing. Is that you want to make sure you have your ducks in a row before you fall in love with that property for whatever reason, and then all of a sudden there's an issue.
That's true. I mean, it'd be really disappointing if you find the dream home in paradise and now you can't do anything because taxes haven't been paid. Title is not there. You know, there's legal problems with it. And so that's an issue. Yes, you want to make sure that you're working with a realtor here that has all of those documents squared away, ready to go, and showing you properties that are in that category. That makes life a lot easier. When you're there, you're not going to be disappointed.
Yeah. I know one of the things I was talking with you both the other day, telling you a story of a friend of ours who had purchased property 14 years ago. And all of a sudden, in about 2 years ago, they lost their access.
right.
That's frightening. I mean, they had paid their taxes, owned everything, but because of, and I don't know exactly the details, that's your guys' business, but some chicanery, now all of a sudden they don't have access to their property. So they went recently and they tried to get at it and they were turned away. And I thought that was interesting because he made the comment, I can see my property right there, but I can't touch it. So...
Yeah, because I think the easement wasn't registered or something like that, so he thought he had an easement to go on, and then it's like, no, there's no easement here.
And after several years at that.
Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah.
So let me ask a quick question. Todd, you mentioned title companies. Again, most people in North America are used to dealing with that. How common are title issues? And I mean, are they pretty common? How do you kind of work through all those?
Well, if you're working with a realtor, you shouldn't have those issues because, again, to be able to put them on the RRA, you need to have those things done. According to our rules, that's the way it's supposed to be done. And I can tell you, we at ReMax abide by those rules, and we make sure that all of those things are taken care of so we don't have to worry about it.
And there are, like, I mean, right now it is busy. I mean, like, there's a lot of sales going on in Roatan and stuff like that. So, for example, I bought a piece of land, and so you will find with not resale loans per se, but like new land or new developments, that the title or the cadastral can take a little longer because it hasn't been registered once. So people will find that in that case that they sometimes will have to wait like a year or so just because the municipality is so far behind. Those are different circumstances than, you know, listing the house and checking the title and making sure it was all there. So there are those circumstances as well too.
Yeah. One thing I'd always kind of heard as a rule of thumb, and I've asked Mr. Banks to be every realtor I know, is, you know, it's definitely easier if the title has turned hand once already, because at that point, that's already gone through that process that you all are referencing. Is that still good advice?
Correct.
Absolutely. That's absolutely true. If it has, it's already in the system. Everybody's aware of where things are. Surveys have been taken care of, those kind of things. So absolutely correct, Russ.
Yeah. So I know one thing, and I'll broach it on it real quickly with you guys. And obviously, thanks for taking the time. This has been a great conversation, and this is very valuable, especially with the volume of people who are still coming here looking for properties and current homes that are wanting to live that dream. Commissions here can be a little higher than what people are used to. I personally thought my first home I bought, my first 3 homes back in the States, was a lot less. And when I first heard the number, I kind of balked. I thought, well, wait a minute, this is awfully high. But then the realtor I worked with, he literally showed me a list of things that you all have to do that are different than North America. And that list is about 3 pages long. So can you add a couple comments, so people don't get that sticker shock when they first hear what the commissions are?
Yeah, I mean, we do hear that. And again, we don't have title companies. Okay. So as an agent, we're doing a lot of that work. We're doing all the steps that you have to do to go through. So there is a lot of work that's involved with it from the beginning through the process. And we're also here after the sale, so it's not like we're here and gone. And that's one of the things that we like to do here is be with them from the beginning through the process and the end. And so with that, there's a ton of work with no title companies. So we definitely earn our commissions. I can tell you that.
Yeah. I agree with Todd. I mean, it's like, there's a lot extra work here than I did when I was selling real estate in Canada. Like there's a lot more to it. And Todd pretty much named a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's what you said. Again, most people here from whatever home country they've come from, they definitely have had conversations or purchased homes or tried or sold, and it's a little bit different. And that's why I wanted to bring that out today, because it was eye-opening for me. And that was roughly 18 years ago. And I know things have gotten better, but there's still a lot of challenges you all face daily with the title, especially representation and clearing of the title. So
there's no question about that. I mean, I did the same thing, Russ, buying in a foreign country. And it can be challenging. And that's the nice thing about working with a company that that you trust, is they can walk you through all of these steps before you even get here. We'll have a phone conversation. We'll go over these things. We'll talk about the buying process so that you're ready to go. And when you get here, then we'll get into it even further. But it can be challenging buying in a foreign country, but it doesn't have to be if you pick the right agent.
Yeah.
Challenging, not scary, huh?
Yeah,
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for taking the time. Again, great topics, very topical. We're hearing this day in and day out. I know you guys are having this. Again, I'm Russ Regents with Blue Wave Radio, and this has been the Roatan Real Estate Roundup, sponsored by our friends at ReMax. I've been very fortunate to have Todd Haggerty and Michelle Breuer, 2 of the top agents at ReMax here. Guys, thank you for your time. We really appreciate you.
Thanks, Russ. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Russ.
And everybody, when you're watching this, when you're ready, make sure you jot the names down. So when you're ready to have that discovery conversation ahead of time before you get here and start shopping, make sure to reach out to Michelle, Todd, and their compadres at ReMax. So you all have a great day. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Russ.
Thank you.
See ya.